KMOX Radio Time, 9:20. This evening's Wild Winds messages for all our friends and neighbors in the great Alaskan bush communities are brought to Sundog Construction Company. Our first message is from Isaac Swayze to Perry Colson. Hello, old friends. I'm in the Pioneer Haven home in Anchorage since August. Please come to Anchorage pretty soon and see me if you can.
I hadn't seen Isaac for 2, maybe 3 years. Not since he moved into suburbia. We'd been partners for too long for me to ignore him now, though. So I wrote, telling him I'd come to visit as soon as the breakup was over. I knew old Isaac wasn't moving as fast as he used to, but it's hard to conjure him spending the winter rocking his life away in a chair. We'd been partners for nearly 30 years. Then, just 'cause he got a little old, that dang Parker, who calls himself a doctor, and I could tell you stories about that. Anyway, Parker talks Isaac into moving into town. I told him listening to any doctor would be the death of it. But he had his mind made up. Well, maybe I could unmake it and convince him to come back to the peacesomeness of that cabin we built. Them iron wheels clacking away can play tricks on you. For a minute there, I was back some 50 years, remembering how it was us that laid them tracks. Me and Parker and Isaac and all the other gandy dancers I'd most forgot. There was Honolulu Morgan. He went looking for emeralds in Peru, I think. And Johnny Ulrich, who figured he'd strike it rich Geiger countering for uranium in Colorado. Only thing he struck was his foot with a pick. Had to amputate it. Never did walk right after that. Those days, it was a rare sight to see a woman in Alaska. So we treated them with as much respect as we did our mothers, even if some did look like the men. There was Bessie Love, who kind of lived up to her name, and Jenny Angel, who didn't. Sorry I didn't make it in time, Isaac. I'm real sorry. I meant to visit you 100 times, but, well, you know how it is. Guess we won't ever get to do no more ice fishing. That was Isaac's favorite joke. Ever since I made the mistake of complaining about a little arthritis. He took to calling me the old man, and he wouldn't tolerate me driving my own team up to the lake. He'd bundle me in that sled like a baby and chuckle the whole way up there. I remember how old Isaac used to say he'd sleep with one leg hanging out in the cold because it made the rest of him so grateful for being warm. Funny how you remember things like that. Well, I ain't much for saying things over graves, Isaac. But you was downright certain the best fisherman I ever knew. I'm sure sorry to see you here, Isaac. Butted up so close to all these strangers. It ain't the natural way of things. You can't get no peace around here. Old-timers like you and me ought to be put down out in the wild somewhere where we can feel the wind blowing a blanket of leaves over us. Guess you won't never get back to that valley you found once. But then again, maybe that's where you are now. I remember when this village used to be way out of town. But with the way Anchorage is growing, it's barely the outskirts now. You know, I get opposite thoughts about visiting Parker anymore. What with the way he shuffles his feet and hems and haws, he's not like he used to be. And I guess I never did fully forgive him for talking Isaac into moving into town. But past is past, and a visit is a visit. Parker tried to strike a bargain with the wilderness. First, he let Goat Mary talk him into getting married. And then she talked him into moving into the village and setting out his shingle. He thought he was just trading a little cabin for a big one, but pretty soon he was spending more time in the village and less in the bush. And before long, you could see little bits of everyone else rubbing off on Parker. It was like he dissolved among all those people, and pretty soon, he wasn't really Parker anymore. He was just another part of the village. Windy and Goblin didn't like the city any better than I did. Wasn't nothing like it was when I first come here in 22. Couldn't wait to get back to my cabin, seeing Isaac in his grave and Parker, who wasn't really Parker anymore, and people everywhere you looked. Well, it got me mighty depressed. Nothing personal, Isaac, but this country's going to seed. I don't know, maybe you quit when the quitting was good. You could set 50 traps around here and all you'd catch would be a rubber tire or two. It was wet and cold and miserable, but good. Kind of like the rain washed all that city grime off us. But I never looked forward to getting home so much as today. Even the troopers, Windy and Goblin, were tired from the traveling and befuddled from all that confusion. But when we got back to the High Lonesome, that trip to Anchorage made me appreciate it all the more. Isaac and me built that cabin. There's 30 good years of our lives smoked onto that roof. I can remember every log we chopped almost like they had names. Oh, how we sweated. But we did a pretty fair job for a couple of tenderfoot chichacos, if I do say so myself. Isaac, it's for sure I ain't gonna get into Anchorage again. So let's just pretend we planted you right here. And inside was all the mementos Isaac had made gathered up in all those years together. But dwelling on the past's only a form of self-pity. And so I put my mind to my stomach. That usually made me forget about everything. You know, you can't get sourdough bread like this in town. Guess when the last of us is gone, no one will know how to make the real thing anymore. Or care. I'll bet this starter is older than I am. Charlie Henry gave it to me, and he got it from some old coot whose name I forgot. Bread is bread, flour and water. Only one thing makes sourdough really special, and that's the starter. There's a certain pleasure doing chores. You know, a sharp saw practically works by itself. And I needed new shoelaces anyway. Mink had fixed himself a home while I was gone. Another mouth to feed. But he wasn't so bashful. Owl, if you're so smart, how come you don't do nothing but ask questions? When I sacked out, I guess the early days were really on my mind. The way it used to be and all. I dreamed about that valley Isaac kept going on and on about. How beautiful and peaceful it must be. And sure enough, there was that big ram that he named Mr. Grundy. But somehow, it all got tangled up with people and spoilers and civilization. But it didn't last long, 'cause a pesky porky woke me up.
More Wild Wind messages after this good word from Pioneer Bush Airways. Since the days when we helped pioneer mail routes to Alaska's bush country, Pioneer Bush Airways has been serving Alaskans with the finest pilots and the most modern aircraft available. And now that the moose hunting season is here, Pioneer Airways stands ready to fly you to your favorite hunting ground in armchair comfort and safety. Or if you prefer, we'll give you a royal welcome in one of our 8 modern hunting lodges, where experienced guides will guarantee you a moose that your neighbors will envy. We can even accommodate the entire family. Mom and kids would like to join you for the ultimate outdoor adventure in the heart of the wilderness, with all the comforts of home, including sauna, private bath, and our famous Polynesian decor. So don't let that moose walk away with that big set of trophy antlers. Call Pioneer Airways for your reservation today. That's Pioneer Bush Airways, with offices now located in the heart of the Anchorage Central Business District, specializing in moose hunting for busy executives since 1958.
I wonder where those moose checked out to. Maybe down by the pond? You know, this frost, like potato chips. Old Big Ears would hear me a mile off. I better stick over there to the sunny stuff. Ice will be melted and plenty of thick wet moss to cover a stalk. I looked for moose for hours and didn't see anything but that old owl with the funny neck. Maybe I should take them armchair guides up and let them guarantee me one. I never had to hunt more than a couple hours from the cabin to find all the game I needed. Curiosity about those moose took me way off my beaten track today. Clear into the next valley. A lot farther than it made sense to go. Way down there. Well, you've too much tonnage for me to pack out. And probably too tough for my uppers. I better just ski-daddle on out of here. Must be a couple of dozen mossy-horned old bulls back in these flats. Oh, now, way down there. They're so intent on their love life, they don't even seem to notice my passing through. I finally found a moose. Saw him through my binocs. But he saw me too. He wasn't afraid of me one bit. And I couldn't very well shoot him standing still looking at me. So I gave my best imitation of a moose call, trying to get him moving. Well, it worked better than I figured it would. I just had the sex wrong. Well, now that he had a girlfriend, I couldn't very well interrupt that romance. never did really do anything important enough to write down, but I always wrote it anyway. Gonna be hard sledding this winter without a meat supply. But just when I was getting back to home territory, there he was. I canned enough moose meat and hung enough jerky to last a winter of Sundays. Now I know why I named you Goblin. All you do is eat, eat, eat. Nothing out here ever goes to waste. If you can't eat it or look at it, you just leave it be. First snow of the year is always a welcome sight. Kind of like a soft blanket of down feathers. I was out breaking some trail when Charlie Henry's boy Peter come in like he does twice a year, bringing me back my dog team and a sled load of dog salmon. Winter's here to stay. I was sad to hear one of my best huskies is gone. Kobook got quilled by a porky. That's the first time the old scrapper lost a fight, but he lost it good. My new wheel dog is a feisty lady named Susitna. So Fat Albert will have to take the lead this year. Seems Charlie Henry froze off another toe while he was ice fishing. That makes 4 if I remember right. Well, Windy and Goblin took their leave, and I'll miss them. But they ain't sled dogs, and I know he takes good care of them every winter. I toted 500 pounds of dry salmon up to the loft. sure hope them rafters carry the load better than I did. Got up early this morning because winter's here, and I'm behind in my chores. Old Sheriff was patient enough while I candled his paws. Seems like he knows letting me burn the ends of the hair keeps the ice balls from forming and cutting them raw later on. Nothing like a good sharp saw with a good set to the teeth. You know, I get me 2 heats out of every log. A big heat from the chopping and a little heat from the burning. Seems like it takes a lot more stoking to work up a head of steam in the morning. And the air's chill enough today to make me almost envy old Isaac. Up, up. Come on your chow. Don't make me the biggest dog in the team. Started me a new spur while the air was 35 below. We'll be running 10 miles south of the farthest line cabin. Only 3 hours of daylight to work with now. Set all the traps I had and even made some. Something's wrong. I'd been working over a week and didn't snare so much as a rabbit. Sure getting tough to make a living. And fur and gold are all I've ever really known for almost 50 years. No wonder. Dang snowmobiles took over one whole loop of the trap line. All the fur's been run off for good. You jackasses ruin everything. Ain't there no peace nowhere? Smart aleck, cheat jackos. It snowed all night. That forms the kind of blanket that feels downright cuddlesome to my huskies. Those lazy dogs don't want to do nothing but sleep. Come on, Albert. You gotta get your blood pumping. I know you like loving, but this is business. Speaking of cold, back in 28, when Cleet Bowman was out trapping, he broke through the ice on Clipper Creek when the air was 30 below. Parker found him a couple of days later, froze up stiff as a board. Well, on the way to the Marshalls, we put in at Step and a Half Johnny's Roadhouse. We just stood Cleet up in a corner, away from the stove, and gave him the best send-off any of us could remember. We drank Macula and sang Cleet's favorite songs and told jokes for 5 or 6 hours until Cleet commenced to sag some. We laughed a lot. Maybe cried a little at the end. But I couldn't help feeling we'd done all right by old Cleet. It was the coldest winter I could remember, but just about the most beautiful. Had a beaver catch this morning, and that just about closes the season. breakup will be setting in, and it'll be a welcome relief from all the cold. And I always look forward to getting Windy and Goblin back. Made a good trade for the furs. Amos Beamer was inquisitive as ever, wanting to know all the whys and wherefores and how come I needed so many supplies. I told him I had to stock my caches heavier than usual so I'd have some roaming room come summer. Well, that set him off. He started into telling me how old I was getting and I should take it easy. Why is it everyone's trying to put me to rest way before my time? Listen to him, I'd just bury myself and save everyone a whole lot of worry. Well, I ain't giving up for no one. Not if my heart stops, or I come down with pneumonia, or I go loony in the head. I'm gonna live till I die. And I don't count sitting inside all bundled up living. Oh, I guess he means well. But I finally shut him up by buying me another notebook.
Oh, sure.
I figure when you had the kind of life I've had, you owe it to yourself to keep a record of where you've been.
You're about the only one buys these.
It helps you keep track of where you're going and what you got left to do.
And you know, it helps me understand.
Brung down most of the moose meat I'd canned and what supplies I could spare to store in my cache. Peter Henry brought the dogs back today. And with him, the news that his father died 2 weeks ago. Charlie Henry wasn't old. For 50 years, he's been a part of my life. And somehow I expected he'd be here long after the rest of us was gone. It's been more years than I care to remember that Charlie Henry's been keeping me and my sled dogs and dried salmon. He taught me how to hunt and how to work a dog team. And in all that time, I never heard Charlie rattle off more than 10 or 15 words at a spell. But still in all, in a way, I knew Charlie even better than I ever knew old Isaac. You know, when a man don't talk much, it takes longer to get to know him, but you never have to back off and start over again. What you know about him, you know for sure. Doggone, seems like everybody's dying off. This winter has worn too heavy on me. Just ain't a pleasant thing to think about. But then along comes something to take your mind off everything. Spring is a glorious time in the North Country, chock full of birth and revival. I can't imagine any place else on earth quite like it. You know, a long time ago, I thought I'd get rich out here sooner or later. Greedy devil that I was. I nearly broke my back working all the claims that I'd staked. It got so I felt guilty if I didn't give them all a turn. It's funny how gold works on a man. All that time you're running up and down hills looking for it, it makes you feel yeasty like a spring cold. But then you lay eyes on it at long last, and lo and behold, you're a draft horse. Dang nuts. Sure took a long time before I realized it wasn't the gold I loved. It was the looking. On second thought, it was the finding. It wasn't much, but it put me on the good side of Amos Beamer's ledger. I guess a man could be happy here for the rest of his life. Everything a body could want. When Isaac and I teamed up, he had an old claim he used to work now and then just for druthers. And his cash was up there too. And now, well, I've just kind of taken it over. He never claimed much gold there. But Isaac said, and I'd agree, that the country was rich enough to make you forget all about prospecting. Supplying that cash in winter was real sled work. I owed myself a nice summer visit, so I figured I'd just mosey on up to Lake Memaloose for old time's sake. The cache was just like I'd left it. Standing solid, a good 14 foot off the ground. No man or critters had gotten into it yet. Isaac sure waterproofed it good. The grub was a little tuckered out from sitting, mind you, but it'd sure do. I kept asking myself, could it be that nobody's been here in all these years? But it sure looked that way. No roads, no machines, and no weekenders. I'll bet there aren't many people who know how to lasso a fish. Watch this. You dogs pay attention. Well, critics, I even found the old dugout canoe Isaac hollowed out from a single cottonwood 35 years ago. And I could hardly wait to launch her, because I wasn't sure she wouldn't leave the troopers and me out there somewhere treading water. You know something? This old daydreamer rode across that lake almost like he was being pulled from the other side. Even the pups seemed to like the notion of life on a lake. Well, maybe tolerate's a better word. Isn't there any place folk could be left alone anymore? Dang blasted float planes, and at Memaloose Lake, no less. Won't be long before people will be flying in twice a week to see the old sourdough. Well, I didn't spend 50 years in the bush to become a sideshow freak for no tourists. No, sir. Let me choose my own friends and invite my own company. Would you look at that? Busted in my cabin and made themselves to home. Lucky they didn't burn it down. Lousy boomers broke my best axe. Took my moose antlers and traded me 4 cans of beer I don't need for food that I do. I don't want to have to move again, but these pilgrims are sure pushing me. It seems to me folks respected this land a lot more when it was rough to reach. Seems like the word's out that I'm running a roadhouse. There's no comeuppance for scoundrels anymore. Years ago, Gus Robinson helped himself to some jerky from Parker's cache, right in the middle of winter trapping. And Parker never found out until the day he needed it, and it wasn't there. The next spring, they bought Gus a one-way ticket on the first boat to Seattle, with a strong invitation not to come back. Well, they can't give anyone a blue ticket anymore, and even if they did, there wouldn't be enough room on the boat for all those that need it. Guess the truth to tell, it was sparseness kept us honest. There were so few of us then. You always knew what a man was about, and you cared a lot more than they do today. Isaac had described Mr. Grundy's Valley so well I could picture it. A place out there where people can't just come bumbling along in some contraption or other. A place where I can live the life I still believe in. Isaac left me a map showing me where he thought his valley was. I never even really thought about trying to find it till now. He told me about that territory behind the lake. But it was a place I'd just never really needed before. That ice field buries a whole range of mountains. The Indians called it the home of the weather. And they used to tell Isaac and me about the Wendigo demon that lives deep in the ice. They'd talk about the white ghost that makes a man walk around himself till he swallows his mind. Well, there's one thing I do know. There are a lot of unmarked graves up there. So most of us have only conjured up what it might be like on the other side. A man would have to be crazy to try the ice. Lots of them have tried, but no one knows anyone who ever made it. Well, I got enough grub and gear at my cache, and the pups don't take to the rapids any better than I do. So maybe I'll just stick it out another year or so. And just pray there'll be no more of them float planes or picnickers. No. That pack of thieving bums. Oh, we'd starve if a storm blew up. Maybe this is why those town folks like to build their houses so tight up together. So they can keep an eye on each other without budging off their backsides. Well, enough is enough. Mess up my cabin, half drown us at the lake, and now tear apart my cache. Most of my grub stake is gone. Not enough left to get across the ice field. So I've only got one choice left, and that's to risk that ornery river. If there was any chance Isaac's Valley existed anywhere else but in his mind, I could find it. They wasn't terribly thrilled about going, but then neither was I. That stubborn streak of mine has given me a good bit of trouble through the years, and this just might be the worst of it. But I never thought I'd be pushed this far. I never thought I'd want something so bad. we done it, and there's no turning back. I promise you, pups, if we ever get out of this, I'll never put you on water again. Hang on, dogs. Some. Not as bad as I thought it was going to be. Story of my life. I'm always speaking too soon. I got you. Come on. Hang in there. There you go. All right. We got it now. Hang on, boys. I got you. Hang on. Watch it. Here it comes again. Whoa. Hold on now. There wasn't any way to go but up. Oh, God. Oh. All the years they lived with me, trusted me. I got nobody to blame but myself. Crazy old fool. Go on there. I sure don't need you. Go on. Get. Well, I sure never thought I'd see you again. Dog, what'd you go and scare me like that for? Huh? Good dog. Yeah. Lucky we got the raft back. I tied the supplies down, but everything's soaked through. I used to be like that caribou there. Always looking, finding it for a while, and then aching to see what's over the next rise. But this boo was different. There was something strange about him. Boo, I'd have given everything I own to see you win that fight. But it just wasn't in the cards. I wondered why that boo didn't run in the first place. That's what he was supposed to do. And once he finally turned tail, I wondered what provoked him to turn back. If he had the grit and determination to die for what he believed in, well, maybe I got it in me, too. I guess maybe I learned a lesson from him. I sure hoped Isaac wasn't just blowing coal dust about that valley of his, because I really needed it now. It may be the only place left where I could be at peace with myself. A place to sit and write and not be disturbed. Well, here I am, 50 years later. The same man I used to be, with only one decision left to make. I could move into town near Parker, or I could stake all that's left of me on that ice field and pray that we get there alive. Well, I'm done resting, done worrying, and done second thinking myself. I got every good sign in the world now, and they're all pointing in just one direction. Oh, Mr. Grundy. If Isaac and that bull caribou had another chance, they might just both head over that ice field any way they could. And if that means braving the Wendigo demon, well, then that's what it means. Come on, you pups. Let's shake a leg. Up you go now. Come on. We're almost clean to the top. Got to admit that it scared me more than those rapids did. By the end of the first day, I knew just how deadly this trip could be. Storms can last for weeks on end, and snow will wrap around you, leaving you no ups, downs, or sideways. All a man sees is white, everywhere. The crevices are always shifting and covered with snow like traps. You step on solid ice one minute and 500 feet of nothing the next. Here it is. No top, no bottom, no nothing. But I can still feel it moving right in on us. We got hit with a whiteout. I lost all sense of direction and found myself in a blinding storm, cursing the notions that drove me here, and feeling for certain that I'd never see the green earth again. Wendy! 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 I don't know, Goblin. I don't know. She could be just 10 foot away. There she is. Wendy and Goblin sniffed me around a couple of hidden crevices. They could have dropped us all in a hurry and buried us so far deep they'd have never found us. I finally had the good sense not to take another step. We pitched a tent right there and toughed it out. We've never been so scared or so bone cold either. My feet had stopped talking to my brain altogether. So you can bet I gave those pups a warm welcome that night. We woke up to find fresh snow covering our back trail. We couldn't retrace our steps now if we wanted to. Somebody must have been watching over us, 'cause out on the horizon, we could finally see our way off the ice field. Hoo-wee. This country was everything Isaac had said it was, and then some. As soft and peaceful as any land I'd ever hoped to see. And here I was, looking at it. It looked like this land hadn't changed since creation. And deep down in my bones, I felt like Isaac must have felt when he first saw it. Like it's something special. Funny thing, though. I felt like I was being watched. But I didn't see anybody. I spotted a cave in the hillside that looked like it might just suit us for a camp. Dry and warm. No sign of a leak anywhere. Well, this'll sure do until I could build us a proper cabin. The troopers are dead tired. They deserve a good rest. Their paws are all cracked and getting pretty tender. So I'll just set them to guarding the cave. I'm feeling a little tuckered and shaky too. But I was so blamed excited about this country that I didn't want to waste any daylight. You stay here, pups. Stay. When God created this country, he must have had me in mind. I'm already feeling I belong here. And just to keep the valley safe from outsiders, there's that barrier of ice 4,000 feet high and 80-mile long. That'll keep the pilgrims out for good. I finally saw the rams. But that one was too young to be Mr. Grundy. Well, I figured he'd let me know when he was ready to meet me. And that one wasn't him either. But I figured I'd run into Mr. Grundy sooner or later. And I had all the time in the world. would choose his cut just like old Isaac used to. Maybe he learned it from him. The way they stood so proud, I knew they'd never heard a gun or seen a man before. As soon as they saw that I moved like molasses and stayed out in the open, they began to go easy. So I got a few pictures. I took to watching them for hours on end. They got so familiar, I even started to name some. Wendy came to greet me, walk me home. And I was finally at ease with myself and the world. It was a rock-hard bed, but soft. The whole valley was going to sleep, all except one ram Mr. Grundy left on guard. There was a new kind of spirit here in this valley, or maybe it was in me. It's like the feelings that I used to have. Something from the days when I built my first cabin, or worked my first stream bed for gold. So maybe it isn't new after all. Now I really wasn't looking for gold. More like I was looking to not find any. But it feels like this place won't provoke any stampede. Then one of Mr. Grundy's lieutenants brought me a message. Guess it was more like a summons. And I figured he'd finally decided to meet me, look me over, and tell me whether I could stay. It was a hard climb. But I was excited to finally be meeting this old lord of the land that Isaac had spoke so much about. Now, I'd speak real respectful like to him, and I was just sure he'd welcome me to his valley.